Welcome, friends across the globe. This is the Great British Mickey Waffle. And tonight we open up that Universal versus Disney debate chamber once again as we explore the hotels and resorts of both of them and explore which resorts are our favourites and why. But please join in the chat, share your own opinions. It could end up being a rather lively debate. Welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle Live.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go. And we're back. We're back and we're live. Because last week we weren't quite live because actually there was very few of us in the country, so it was a very good catch-up job of Halloween past, present, future, etc. And
something Halloween was like nearly a week ago.
I know, it was quite scary.
Bonfire night last night.
We're ready for Easter in Disney terms.
Yeah, and as soon as you get to Christmas, that's
Fourth of
time to
July
plan your
celebrations
Halloween.
are being
Yeah, we get rid of our fireworks. Now it's over to Disney to start getting them ready for 4th of July.
I thought you were going to say the United States are starting their own fireworks off, but
well, let's not go there.
I got bad from one of the early podcasts for talking about Guy Fawkes, and yeah. I won't go there.
That was on a Halloween episode.
I know, yeah. I'm not allowed to. But there you go. Hey, well, welcome back, Claire.
Oh, thank you. I've forgotten I've been away for ages. It feels like I haven't been on the show for like forever. I think this is like 5 weeks, I think.
I know, yeah.
I don't think all of us have been back in the UK. I think today is probably the first day all of us have been back in the UK all at the same time.
I've forgotten what you lot look like.
Oh, there you go. That's a good thing.
Forever.
That's a good thing.
The tan has gone from Florida. I need to book another trip.
Yeah.
I'm definitely still tan. People keep going, "Oh my god, you're really brown." I was like, "Yeah, it's quite warm in Florida."
You could have at least brought the weather back.
Do you know what?
It's grey and
really miserable here today, and
Yeah.
I was like, a week ago, just over a week ago, I was somewhere hot and sunny.
Yeah.
I know a reminder from like Facebook earlier going like, "Oh, you're heading to Florida 9 years? Was it 9 years ago?" And it was like, really, just like it's getting to a point. Every month, there's going to be a point where we've been every month to Florida, thinking like, oh, I don't know.
That just means it's time to go back. It's time to go back.
Yes.
That's all it means.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all planning that next trip.
Yep.
Definitely.
Allegedly.
Or maybe already have planned the next trip.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe the next two.
Or three.
Already thinking about 2026 already.
No, I'm still 2025.
This is the thing, when you've got to think about points for Disney Vacation Club, it's like, okay, my year is between there and here. When's my annual pass? Do I get an annual pass? Do I not? Do I have tickets? Where am I staying? Do I decide to stay at Universal for a few nights because of Epic Universe, or get the express passes like we did this year? So that's funny we're talking about that tonight.
It is.
Yeah, it kind of it dovetails an awful lot of what we've kind of spoken about recently as well, doesn't it? And I think as well, I think it's worth mentioning the fact that we've done quite a few sort of rides or parks and things like that. We haven't really delved into the whole thing about looking at what the difference is between a Universal resort or hotel and a Disney one as well. And I think that really, I think for all of us, with what's coming in next year, I think it's really, really pertinent that we begin to look at what's available, because I think we've said it certainly in the podcast and certainly on a couple of Wednesday shows. The actual introduction of Epic Universe is really going to change the whole Orlando sort of planning part, and I think and hopefully I hope people in the chat sort of take part in this, and we might be completely off kilter here and actually just misread the situation, but I actually feel there's an awful lot of people looking at a longer Universal stay than perhaps in the past. I think that is possibly something that we maybe delve into and during the show. I'm not gonna go totally off the diving board early doors with my sort of take on it, because I do have a little bit of things to say, because
I actually think the thing is, John, I think trip dynamics, I think this is a point that is definitely going to change next year, because for us, Universal has turned into like an every other trip.
Yeah.
But because of Epic Universe, it's turned into that one like, okay, we've got to do it next year. But then it's like, okay, what benefits do we get of staying at Universal? Because we've stayed at Universal before. We did Endless Summer. This year we tried Royal Pacific for the first time, and we got express passes. So there's benefits, and then looking at the cost of how long am I going to be spending at these parks? And it's really weird, because we've got DVC, so in theory we should be staying at Disney all our time.
Yeah.
So it's quite an interesting way of going, actually, the mouse has had a lot of my money. I think now it's time for Universal to get a bit more.
Minions can have some now.
Yeah, Epic Universe looks incredible.
It does.
And I can't wait. And yes, we were one of the annual pass holders to book one-day tickets ready for next year. And I can't wait. And I know we're not going opening week, which I know a few of our friends
I think that's sensible, yeah.
Thankfully, we're going in August.
But luckily, we're going to let the vloggers go, and then we can then learn.
We'll be in the second wave.
Yeah, we'll learn from what they do.
Are we going to be in Universal at the same time then?
Oh, I think we're going to be in Florida at the same time.
Oh, there you go. You see.
Yeah, we fly out on the 13th.
We fly out on the 13th.
And are you going straight to Universal?
No.
We're not staying at Universal.
Because we've got too many DVC points to use.
Yeah.
So we're saying...
first world problem. We've got too many DVC points to use.
So we're saying...
We are thinking that probably that second day, not the first, we've got plans and ideas for the first day. The second day we might hit Universal.
Yeah.
And I believe you might be staying there at that sort of time.
So interestingly, we are there at the same time. We're going a day later than you.
Yeah.
And we have booked to stay at Universal. And normally, I think anyone who's watched the show before will know that we've done like the one night, overnight, get the front of the line passes, ends up being cheaper. And because of Epic Universe, and because of the fact that actually we know that the Universal parks really they have something different to offer, and they're every bit as fun as Disney, and they just offer something different. And last time when we went, Millie really enjoyed it, and it was probably the first time that we'd had that experience with her, is when she was big enough to go on stuff like, she didn't go on Velocicoaster, but Popeye and Blueto's Bilge-Rat barges was like one of the highlights of her trip.
I think that's a highlight of most people's trip.
Not so much mine.
Was it not? Oh. Claire, I've got visions of you in a poncho.
No, I don't wear a poncho. I definitely don't do a poncho. I have to say, I am not a massive water ride fan.
I'm not going there.
It's just not. It's not my thing. And so every time I go on that ride, I spend the first half hating it, and the second half going, do you know what?
Yeah.
I'm done. It's just like,
I'm wet through now.
I'm already wet.
and then I'll get off and I'll go like, let's just go again, because I'm already drenched. So
and it's never normally a long queue as well.
I wonder why. Yeah.
Everyone stood trying to dry themselves off.
Spending $5 each on one of those heaters outside.
Yeah, it's like...
It's fine, because you're already wet, so you might as well go on the other two while you're there.
Yep.
I don't like the one with Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah. Not done that one yet, actually.
Oh, was that
that's really good. Yeah,
and the Jurassic Park one was all right.
And I don't do flumes. So I don't like log flumes or any sort of flume ride. So Jurassic Park is a no for me. But
you're a bit stuffed there then, aren't you? That's it.
Everyone else likes them. So we are going to Universal, and we're spending our first 3 nights in Universal, which is longer than we've ever stayed. We've done 2 nights before. We've done 1 night frequently. It's going to be an interesting experience. So we're doing first 3 nights there, then we're doing 6 nights in Disney, and I'm not saying where because Millie doesn't know. And then we're spending the last 9 nights in a villa. So we're doing a 3 day, 3 different places.
Yeah. Cover your ears, Millie. You're going to Pop Century. That's it.
Oh, I thought it was all-star music.
Not with me. I'm going somewhere else.
So Dan and Millie are off to All-Star
I was going to
Sports.
say, we just managed to get Claire into pop. I really don't think I can see her going to the All-Star Resort somehow.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're lovely.
Can I just hone this in a little bit, right? Because we're talking about sort of the two separate things, right? So I think a lot of us have been very privy to a lot of what you, I was going to say what you get, but you don't really get an awful lot anymore from a Disney hotel. So let's go down let's go down the Universal side, Ben, because I know you've said there recently. And I know, certainly from my past experience, one of my bugbears about going to the Universal Hotel is you actually pay for resort parking each night. But that's a me thing. That's a me thing, not anything else. So
it really annoys me, especially when I know I'm now an annual pass holder.
Yeah.
And I get free parking at the parks.
Did you not get it at the hotel?
No.
I'd be parking at the parks, Ben.
I'm walking back.
Yeah,
Just
too
that
right.
car can stay there for the next 3 days.
Yeah, too right. It'd be well looked after. So you mentioned about express passes. Now, for me, that is one of the absolute killer things about going to a Universal hotel. I know it doesn't apply across the whole range of hotels.
No,
however,
there's 3 new ones opening next year, and what's interesting is none of those new ones have the express pass option.
Is Helios not?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not on opening. So it might be added once the ticket option opens.
But I think that makes sense though, because actually they've got.
Otherwise, everyone will book the hotel to get the express pass, which will then mean everyone has the issues of.
Well,
but that's what we do anyway.
I don't think Epic Universe has express passes at opening anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll until the following year.
At least a year.
Yeah, but what I actually feel though is that they know how many express passes they can actually utilize either from hotels or they can sell within a day. What they don't want to do is actually, in a time when they know they're going to be exceptionally busy, is actually max out far too many express passes. And some people will pay for them. I totally accept that.
And some people will book a hotel thinking, okay, I'll get express pass at Epic Universe.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes sense. And I think that's why there's only, for 14-day UK tickets, Universal, you've only got 1 day at Epic.
Yeah. I get that, Ben. I think
it's a
sensible idea.
I think Universal have done, instead of doing what I think we all had through the pandemic and COVID, when we all had the option of booking park reservations, which I know people don't like, and even annual pass holders at Disney World still don't like.
Yeah, I agree with. So you get the option when you stay at the Signature Collection. Is it Hard Rock? Is it
Portofino Bay
and Royal Pacific.
What's interesting, Universal's website says in the Signature Collection, you've got Helios Grand Hotel, Portofino Bay, Hard Rock Hotel, Royal Pacific, and Sapphire Falls. The difference is Sapphire Falls is still in the Signature Collection, but it is cheaper, but doesn't include the express passes.
Yeah. So
it's a bit further away as well.
I would nudge that more towards the prime sort of.
Yeah, they class it as that, but on the website they have dollar signs. So they've got $4 for the signature ones with Express and Helios, but Sapphire Falls only has $3 signs, just to make it appear cheaper or different on the website. I have to admit, I did find this picture which was quite useful, which I'm not sure unless you're watching on a TV you'll be able to see it completely. But
that's quite useful. That is useful actually in terms of transportation, and
it's interesting to see how many hotels they're going to have now compared to Disney.
What we'll do is we'll put a picture of this if we can.
I'll put it in No Waffler's Arms.
Yeah, because it actually makes it completely clear as exactly what's on offer from each place.
And it's also nice to know, because we know we have, like John alluded to earlier, about what Disney don't have and what they do have available.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting what you do get by staying on site, because even a few years ago we stayed at Surfside for 4 nights before, and that gave us early park entry for an hour, and that was to Islands of Adventure. But that's a huge perk to have when you can get on Hagrid's or Velocicoaster. that first morning and then at that first hour, and then head to something else afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's always it's that perk. Am I more likely now to stay at a Universal hotel versus Disney, or am I going to do a split stay, and so I can get the best of both?
I think that, and I think that's the thing, Ben. I think that's what's opened up everyone's mind to this.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I think you just mentioned it there. The actual amount of hotels that Universal now have, and at different price bands as well.
Yeah.
I actually think that's kind of happened very, very quietly, and in a way, kind of a little bit under most people's radar. So you've now got the ability to choose, one, what price you want to pay. Secondly, what band of advantages or perks or whatever you want to have, which certainly from my own perspective, you know, you go back maybe 10 years and you look at what the offering was from Universal, and you were basically looking at only about 3 or 4 hotels. We've now got that full spread, and I think fair play to Universal, because I think, again, they've kind of caught the whole situation at the right time. They've invested at the right time. They've invested way ahead of schedule, because they're now able to open another park, but they've got the amount of hotel beds to actually support people. And I think that for me is the surprise, because I think it's crept up. And I think at the same time, Disney have been like, oh, well, we'll just build a new DVC block and we'll be fine. We'll be sorted. But actually, by adding proper hotel rooms, Universal have opened themselves up to a massive part of the market.
And the thing is, they haven't just gone on with just creating deluxe resorts.
Yeah.
They've gone and created them at all levels. So it's Stella Nova and Terra Luna are the prime value, so that's the sort of the mid-range. So the value sort of inns and suites are Cabana Bay and the Endless Summer Dockside and Surfside. So you've got quite a good, and I think going back to that picture, one thing I didn't realise was how many of them how accessible they are from where you are. So some of them have a dedicated walking path to the theme park. So Cabana Bay gets you to access to Volcano Bay. Stella Nova will get you walking access to Epic Universe. Aventura will take to Volcano Bay, and then you've got Hard Rock, sort of Royal Pacific and Portofino are walking. So it's quite an interesting way of how easy accessibility is for you to get from your hotel to the park. And I think we've spoken a lot of times on the podcast about how that dictates where you stay at Walt Disney World. Depends on if you're staying like a boardwalk, you can go to Hollywood Studios or Epcot. So Claire, has that affected your trips before? Trying to work out where you'd stay.
Yeah, the only hotel we stayed at Universal is Hard Rock Hotel. Yeah. And exactly for that reason, it's a 3-minute walk from the back of the hotel into into Universal Studios, isn't it? And that's the only reason we chose that resort, because it's so close. Next year we're staying at Royal Pacific, just for a number of different reasons. There was quite a significant cost discrepancy, whereas before I don't think there'd been that much of a difference, and so we'd booked Hard Rock because it was, only like 5% more expensive. This time there's quite a big difference, and that might be because we're staying for slightly longer. And I didn't feel that there was justification, because we're staying for longer, to need to be 5 minutes away where we could be 10 minutes away, whatever that looks like. And Hard Rock is a great hotel. I find it a bit bland.
Yeah. Oh, I love Hard Rock. I
like it. I didn't say I didn't like it, John. I just find it. I just find it a bit functional in terms of like, if I'm going to stay on site, I want a hotel that's going to make me realise that I'm staying on site, and I think the Hard Rock Hotel could be anywhere. Whereas I don't know what it is. Like, the hotel pool is amazing, the guitar-shaped pool, and the music around the pool and all of that stuff. We've never stayed long enough for us to make use of that. So maybe we haven't.
You're missing out.
Right, so we may have not had the full experience. I find the restaurant options miserable. And of course you've got City Walk right there, so why would you eat in a hotel? And the rooms are quite basic. And I think you picked up on something, Ben, that they've expanded their hotel capacity, but not just in like the basic hotel rooms. And that's one of my criticisms of Disney, really, is that if you've got a family and you've got more than, if you've got 2 children who are different sex, different age, and you need more than 2 beds, you're really quite limited. There are a few increases in things like the pull down beds in some of the moderate resorts, but unless you're prepared to go to deluxe or you're going to a villa resort, actually Disney are quite limited in terms of if you need more than one, more than 2 beds in the room. Whereas Universal are far more flexible around that. When you look at Endless Summer, you look at the suites, you look at even Cabana Bay Family Air, there is so many more options. So last time when we stayed at Hard Rock Hotel, actually we had a Rockstar suite, which is 2 rooms, but it cost a fortune for a night because that was the room that we wanted. We wanted to stay at that resort, and that's the only room that would accommodate us. So I kind of felt that if you're going
to... Claire, agreeing with you on that, actually. When we stayed at Endless Summer, we were in a 2-bedroom suite.
Right.
We've been upgraded from...
and
I have to admit, the price we paid for 4 nights, £329.
And this is it. That it's so cost effective. However, we know we want to stay at a resort where we get the front of the line passes.
Yeah.
So then
and this is where you have to get this is where you get your calculator, you get your spreadsheet out and work out, because that's why this year we did 1 night at Universal, Royal Pacific.
Yeah. Because
we worked out the cost of the express pass, because we were going in September, October. What was the price of an express pass, which was $249 per person per day. Yeah. So it would cost us $1,000 for the express
2 days
pass.
worth of passes,
and we paid £420 for the room.
So $600 for the room. So you're saving money. It's free money. It's kind of how I think that's my Disney maths going on.
I like Disney maths.
Yeah,
but
or Universal maths.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did with the hotel last year. Actually there was 4 of us, 4 express passes for 2 days each, and it still worked out. We were saving a significant amount of money, and it will be the same next year when we stay at Royal Pacific for 3 nights. It almost magnifies that saving when you get front of the line pass. So it frustrates me that there isn't the option to maybe at some of the other resorts have a express pass at half price. Maybe if you stayed at the prime value resorts, actually you can then purchase the express pass at 50%
and 25% of the
value. So that there is
in.
still that option, but it's not free. I don't know. Maybe that's just idealistic.
It would be a perfect world, wouldn't it? But then then you compare it to what you get when you're at Disney, and this is the thing: is you get all of those. You get
no one's giving you away those new passes when you stay.
No chance. That hasn't been mentioned, has it?
Is it $449 for a day for 1 person at Magic Kingdom?
Yeah. No thanks.
Stay at the Grand Flow and you get one of those for each day. No, that's.
I have to admit that would be a great idea. It'd lovely if Disney would think about doing that, but their focus seems to be on building more DVC and deluxe resorts. Because I know there's been pictures of the Reflections Resort, which then got paused, has now started to go vertical, which is interesting. But that's another DVC resort, and so same with the Polynesian Tower, which is great. But the rooms that are in there, are they going to cater to everybody?
Well, they don't look particularly big, because when we went past last week, all the kitchens and everything are in. You can see. They look beautiful, but again, they're studio rooms, a lot of them, or a resort room. They're not going to be suitable for people who need more than 2 beds.
So you're going to need to splash out on the 2-bedroom options, which are 2 to 3 times the price, and it's one of those things. It's just I feel like Universal have taken this switch from you spending a couple of nights there to be actually spending a full week.
Yeah.
Where I feel like Disney, when you're looking at it now, we're getting to a point where it's swinging the other way. Yes, Disney have got a lot of parks, so it's just very different dynamic of how I think everyone's going to be spending their time. And I think Universal, with the amount of things that are in their new park and the new resorts, I think people will be able to spend more time. And do you think there's going to be that Universal bubble? We've always just spoken about the Disney bubble.
I think it's coming. I actually think it's coming. I do, yeah. I actually, and that's what really fascinates me about this. I actually feel that given another theme park, Universal are now at that sort of precipice where if you didn't want to, if you felt that you didn't want to do Disney this year, you could very easily align yourself and just do a Universal holiday. And I think that I would never ever have said that previously, but I think that is where Universal have shifted this so significantly. And I personally feel that that's where Disney have kind of taken their eye off the ball a little bit. And I think, again, going back to the premium park passes for Disney, I actually feel that that's where a lot of people, I know we've joked a few times in the past sort of month or so about how, sort of Disney's PR people have maybe sort of just basically handed Universal things on a plate to have a laugh at. But I think Universal actually are in that state where I think for the first time ever in Orlando, they're actually prepared and they have got the accommodation numbers sorted where they can actually have people for that length of time. And, I might be wrong, but I actually feel that there's a much greater split than there's ever been before. And I think that's, if I was Disney, I'd be quite afraid of that.
So I think this goes back to the D23 in August, that I think for the past few years, we've all thought, oh, there's going to be a fifth gate at some point. With all these hotels they're building, there's going to be an additional park because it makes sense to have the capacity to be able to have more guests that's going to be in another park. But what we're having is things taken out of an existing park and updated.
Yeah. There is an expansion as well. So
an
that
expansion,
area into the car park at the back of Magic Kingdom. That's an expansion. That is going to be an expansion. So there is going to be greater capacity. I think it's really interesting in terms of Universal are positioning themselves to be a more of a resort destination rather than a tack-on.
Yeah.
Do I think that we'll ever get a Universal bubble? I think there are always going to be people who prefer the Universal intellectual properties. That is going to be something that hits the mark for some people and not others. So, like, friend of the show used to be a waffler, Sammy. We know that she loves Universal, and she will stay at Universal quite often and just go there. I don't think that I would want to do that, and that's because I'm a Disney person. Yeah. But I can still appreciate the Universal. I almost find the other way around. The Universal people don't really want to go to Disney. It's almost like a marker.
They've got a friend or family in their group saying we must go to Disney because we're here.
I'm not going there. I'm a Universal. And I just think there's a happy medium for everyone. This is a win for guests, regardless of whether you stay at Disney or you stay at Universal.
100%.
The opportunity to experience these amazing things that are being built is a great thing for us. So we win either way. I think that Universal have probably recognised that Disney might not have it quite right in terms of resort span, in terms of room options, in terms of affordability. So like you say, if you want to stay in Endless Summer, you can stay there for a week, but significantly, probably the same price as staying in Pop for 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah. So some pictures of
if you're on a budget,
Surfside.
I was going to say it's
a really
the
lovely
decor for Surfside and Dockside is amazing.
And you can pick whether your room is outside facing or inside facing. So if you want the security, so like if I was on my own and I choose to stay in a hotel base, so the room is inside a building rather than facing like a motel style, you can choose that. There's such a variety of options.
They're actually not motel style, so they are all inside.
There's a mixture. There's a mixture.
What is there?
Yeah, so you can choose an external door or an internal door.
Because we just had ones that were just...
Yeah. So on all of those, that level, you can pick an internal or an external door. Because I've looked at it so many times and priced it up. But
I didn't know you could choose that.
Yeah, well, there you are. And I wonder whether this might push, if the pull is great enough, whether it might push Disney to maybe reframe some of their value, low-end, moderate resorts to be slightly more flexible in accommodation, because that's the thing that really...
I like that they've given them a refurb. They look clean, they look better than what they did before, but the problem is, what we're getting it, like you said, there's no options to have
No.
different sizes.
If you've got a
to fit
family of
different family
5,
options.
And the options that are there, even for the value resorts for the suites, are expensive.
Oh, John's just corrected me. I got it wrong. It's Cabana Bay that's got internal. and
Cabana Bay
external
is
doors.
yeah.
Same level.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Self. Appreciate that.
Glad you're here, John. Thank you. But yeah, I just think that if Disney maybe like Pop or you know, Riverside could do something to create
Yeah.
a different style of room, they'd lose some capacity. That's it. Well, I don't know if they would lose capacity. They'd increase their bookings probably because of the fact that people were booking there rather than going somewhere else.
I think it's the cost of
be
expanding what you can
competitive.
do at the
I
resorts.
don't know. I mean, I think I'm wondering if what Disney tend to do is instead of having suites, they have connecting rooms. So
But they don't sell them as a package
they
together.
don't sell them as a package
They can
together,
sell them as a
but you
package
can
together, so you can have a
book
slightly
2
different.
rooms and then ask if you can have them together. So
Yeah.
that you can just open the door.
But then it's
in
still cost of
between
2
That's-
rooms. Where
But
That's
it's still
still-
cost of 2
yeah.
where
rooms. Yes.
this is the thing is like what they could do is they could offer you a discounted rate on your second room because they know you're going to be staying there for 2 weeks instead of you doing 1 week there and then or just completely going to Universal. I think it's one of those things. I think Disney might have to be sort of smart thinking about this going forward. But as we know, they've introduced this really expensive front of line pass that someone must be willing to pay for it if they're going to offer it.
I still don't think there are many people that are willing to pay those prices.
I have to admit, the only
can't-
vlogger or person I've seen on social media use it was it AJ from Disney Food Blog. But I think there's a video that they've done on whether it's worth it or not. And I think I haven't watched it, but my guess is that it's probably not worth it.
I didn't even pay for Genie Plus or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think that's
Whatever
exactly
it
it.
was
Claire,
called
yeah.
a week ago.
Yeah.
Because it's not worth it.
Well,
I'm
I
not
pay
going
multi
to
pass
pay
and
that
single
ridiculous
pass.
amount of money.
One
I'm
good
not going
thing
to pay
about that,
$22.
though-
I'm not going to pay $400.
One good
Yeah.
update about that though is that at least now you can book it from the UK.
Yes.
They haven't announced it, but it now works from the UK.
Well,
So
thank goodness.
all of that faff we had like a few months ago, it's like they brought this new system out. Everyone gets 7 days in advance unless you're in the UK or out of the US.
See, it would be nice if Disney could start, for the deluxe hotels or some of them, start doing what Universal's signature resorts do and give their guests
One day of their trip, they could do a front of line pass.
Yeah.
multi-pass.
Yeah, not the expensive
Not every
one,
day,
but just the one.
Yeah.
just a normal one.
I think that for me is something where, again, I think Disney missed a trick on this, and I think Universal will cash in massively.
Looking back at what Disney used to offer, and we
Yeah.
were talking about it this the other day, of where it's one of those things when you look back and like I remember when you could get in an hour early if you stayed on site.
Yeah.
But then also they did an hour or 2 hours after the park closed as an evening hour as well. And yes,
Yeah.
I know it costs them more because of staffing, but
It
actually,
did still happen sometimes.
yeah,
can still
only
get
if it's
in-
only if you're staying at deluxe, you get in 30
No.
minutes early.
You get 30 minutes early any resort hotel.
Yeah, any resort hotel.
And-
And deluxe, you get extended evening
At
twice a
Magic
week.
Kingdom and Epcot.
Yeah.
Well, or they did
Twice.
start to do Hollywood Studios when Magic
It-
Kingdom had its Halloween party, I
Yeah.
think, instead.
But it's very few and far between compared to what we used to have, where it used to be every night there would be an extended evening out at one of the
Yeah, it was one or the
parks.
other somewhere. It was one of the
So
parks, yeah.
it was quite nice to have that option, which I can't imagine would cost them too much to do. But now obviously Disney do their after hours where it's $159 per person.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's
There's an accountant sat somewhere within the Disney organization who thinks this is all a very, very good idea. I actually don't believe it to be so. It kind of
they're
gets
just
to a bit
short of
it
money this
rankles.
quarter, and they need
Yeah.
to make up some quick money and see.
Yeah. It kind of rankles a little bit because as being a massive Disney fan and being someone who would previously not have kind of thought about sort of going on a holiday and just only having a universal input. I actually feel that we're at a time where, for as much as for as much as the world changed during lockdowns and during the COVID pandemic, etc., one company seemed to have kind of cracked on through that much more quickly. And actually, it appears to be, I might be wrong, but it appears to have got to that recovery stage as a company much more quickly than Disney have. Now Disney, even as we found this summer, are still struggling in respect of recruitment, retention of staff, to bring it back to the level at which it was probably 2019 and before. What you begin to see, even with sort of, certainly with general housekeeping within resorts, it's much more scaled back from where it was. That Disney standard has slipped, and I think that's where, for me, is where Universal have actually stepped in and said, well, I know, Claire, you said before about the fact that if Hard Rock just appeared a little bit sort of corporate, a little bit bland, but actually now it kind of stands up with some of the refurbed Disney places that have lost their characteristic, because actually they've refurbed it and just basically put in, might as well just painted it magnolia and just put grey sheet.
They've got rid of the carpet, put a wooden floor in, and it's done.
Yeah, and I think that's the sad part of it. I actually feel that there's a real sort of, for the first time ever, I think there's a real fight on for your custom. And I think for me, I think Disney had been caught napping in the corner, and basically, and that probably goes back to the Chapek era as well, where he was insisting that, I think we went through that spell where he was proposing that guests were going to pay for parking at Disney resorts, basically because Universal did it and we could make a quick buck out of it. And then when he went and Bob Iger returned, that was the first thing Iger changed that and said, yeah, we're going to bring this back. But actually, we're no further on from that. And I actually feel that we're in a stage where the loss of the Disney magic within certain resorts, I think has gone forever. I think and that really pains me to say it. I think they've gone into that corporate blandness that sort of comes with just running a big hotel. I still think there's some places that it's still there. I
don't think it's corporate blandness.
Yeah.
I think it's corporate arrogance.
Yes.
I thought I was being polite saying blandness. Goodness me. Oh, you got right.
I think a lot of it is them knowing what we want and thinking that. I don't know. I think there's
something around Disney saying, we're here, we're Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
If you're looking at Orlando,
we can do what we want.
People are going to come and they're going to pay their money because they want to come here. That's why they're coming to Orlando. And I don't think it has really ever dawned on their horizon that Universal could be a proper competitor.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think they've been caught napping because Epic Universe, let's face it, everyone, what are people talking about in Orlando? They're not talking about the fact that, they've mentioned Big Thunder's going down for a year for a refurb. They're not really talking about Villains Land or whatever it's going to look like. And they're definitely not talking about cars and Chow going in instead of Tom Sawyer Island.
and working where Muppets is. Monsters Inc. is going to replace
That is
Muppets.
not on anyone's lips at the moment. The thing that people are talking about is Epic Universe and this ridiculous area in terms of, have you seen what they're doing with the Harry Potter area, the Ministry of Magic? Have you seen Super Mario World? That is what the buzz is.
Yeah.
And I think that the corporate arrogance that Disney had to go, well, that's not bad.
They think that's going to last a year and that's it.
Right? It's gonna be exciting for a little bit, but we're good. We're all right. We're Disney, and I am everyone knows I love Disney to bits, and I worry that they were one step behind. They're now 10 steps behind. So the clawback to being a level playing field is so significant. They're going to have to fork out a lot of money, and it's going to take, as we know, Disney build and everything takes forever. So Universal are going to have this trajectory of improvement and growth for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Disney have caught up.
Because by the time that Disney are, and I just think
this comment is exactly right. Disney are focusing on a specific group of guests which are paying a lot of money in the parks, and I felt this even from COVID going forwards, that there was a lot of stuff that was taken away that made it available for everybody. What Universal seem to be appealing, we mentioned this already about the hotels that Universal have built, is all at different levels. It is making it accessible for everybody. And there's something there for everyone. When you look at Epic Universe, yes, you've got thrill attractions, but yes, you've got family, you've got everything from sort of Super Mario, you've got so many different IPs that people actually are really excited about. I don't know what Disney could do in response to it in their current form.
I think it's really interesting when you look at the activity that happens. So Disney have got a very consistent park presence, haven't they? They're very consistent in terms of guest flow. They know that people are going to come. They know people are going to go. I think when Universal opens Epic, there's going to be a massive spike. There's going to be so many people rushing to go to that park. So you're going to get a huge activity spike, which is going to grow income for them. But it will drop off. And the question is, can they drop off to a level that is higher than they were before? Yeah. Or is it a once and done? I've been to Epic Universe, it was amazing, but I'm not going to go again. I'm going to go back to Disney now. And I think that's the bit we don't know. That's the bit that the accountants and the strategic managers are now looking at, going, well,
they're looking at previous or other Universal parks around the world and thinking,
because
making that assumption of what.
Yeah, and nobody knows, you know, the you know, what people's experience will be in Orlando. There's other things that are happening in Orlando as well, you know, and different around Florida. So how much of that is going to influence? And you can't take everything into account. So I think, you know, there is a little bit of finger in the wind going, not quite sure what's going to happen here. Let's just stick with what we know and continue to be, you know, stalwarts of the Orlando traffic. And we know that we're Disney and it's going to be okay because we're still going to attract the same guests that we always have.
And also, this is not going to be a thing for Iger to sort out. This is going to be something for the next CEO to...
I don't even think it's about one person, Ben. I think it's about the guest activity. I don't think it's about the company. I think it's about guest activity. And you can't predict that. You can't plan that. And there's going to be a bit of suck and see, and then see, you know, in a year's time, we're sitting here in November 2025.
Yeah.
Epic Universe is still going to be growing in terms of, for the first 18 months, 2 years, people are still going to be going. So Disney have got a gap there that they're going to have to do something. And I reckon that, you know, the new parade, all of those things that are going to come in the next year are going to be the draw that they think that that's going to be sufficient just to keep them ticking along at the same consistent level, and then their growth afterwards. So they're going to allow Universal to do their thing, pull the guests.
And people that might not have been to Orlando for a few years and going, oh, I'm going back because of Epic Universe, and while I'm going over there, I might as well do Disney as well. So Disney are probably hoping you're going to get that.
And then you're going to only pay for one day. So you're going to pay $174 for one day in the Magic Kingdom because I'm there, rather than paying for...
But the problem with that though, that's a flip. Whereas previously everyone would have gone for the Disney ticket for 2 weeks and go for Universal for just 1 or 2 days. In the blink of an eye, the whole situation, you know, if that's for 2 years, you've really got to really feel that Universal can take an awful lot of a cash injection themselves out of this. Whereas Disney are basically on the back foot thinking, hang on a minute, this isn't how we portrayed this to be, because we're losing, you know, they've lost a lot of love from many long-term, not just from the UK, but certainly I think from and probably from American people that I know, they feel as if their experiences have been diminished to the extent where they think, well, I'll tell you what, let's just put it at one side. Let's go and do something else for a little time until they get their act back together. And
maybe so.
To be honest, I never ever thought that we would get to a day where, one, we would do a show quite like this, and two, and I know, Ben, you and I mentioned this in the start of month podcast when we were talking about where Epic Universe kind of fits in, where Universal are basically becoming, in a way, the market leader in innovation and the market leader in basically expanding theme parks.
Yeah, and since recording that episode, if anyone follows Universal on Instagram, there was an incredible video showing the animatronics that are going to be in the Dark Universe.
Yeah,
they look incredible, and
but there is risk involved in that.
Yeah,
for Universal, and yes, of course, they're testing everything they're making, but we know that new rides don't always work. We know that new technology breaks. So
Universal knows that what happened with Hagrid's.
Right.
The,
so this is
amount
this
of
is
technical
they're
downtime.
taking an enormous risk, hoping that this holds up and that the capacity that the ride capacity they need to deliver, bearing in mind there's going to be so many people there. These rides are going to have to be unbelievably well engineered. I hope they are, but that's the bit Disney are hoping that they keep breaking them.
Can we rewind a little bit then?
Sorry, we've gone off topic.
Very off topic.
It sounds exactly what we do.
But rewind to when the last Disney park was actually opened, with that big, massive fanfare that we're going to do. Open on Earth Day, Animal Kingdom opens.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Nobody's coming to this. Everyone just thinks it's half day and done.
They do.
Half day and done. We're going to the zoo, and that's it. Oh, I tell you what. Let's build a animatronic in the mountain that never worked for very long either. And but look at how long ago that was. Yep. And this again comes back to what we said very early in the show. The only people that are going to benefit from this is us.
Yeah. And
the people are going to Orlando, because a brand new theme park doesn't happen every single year. No. We're in quite an extraordinary time.
Even new lands don't happen every year.
Yeah.
There is a cynical
quite
part.
Amazing.
There is an opportunistic, cynical part of me that thinks maybe this is the year to just go to Disney.
Well, everyone
it might be quieter.
The projections are, and some of the intelligence that's going out is that next summer, 2025, between May and October 2025, Disney are going to be. I mean, this summer was already quieter than last summer, and that's through experience of talking to people who were working there, that was the view. And the thought was that because everyone was waiting to go to next year because of Epic Universe. Next summer, my goodness, if you want to go to Disney and you're not bothered about going to Universal, it's not, or you've got young kids and it's not going to it's not going to float your boat. My goodness, 2025.
Yeah,
you can get to it. I mean, obviously from the UK,
I wonder how much sort of overspill you might get. So, say if you've got people that have booked for one day Epic Universe, how much more Disney might get from that, because people know they can only go for one day, or unless you can buy the tickets changed by then, because I know you might be able to buy more.
Would I choose to spend a day in Magic Kingdom knowing that it's maybe at 50% capacity rather than Epic Universe, which is at 90% capacity? Yeah, I might do actually.
Yeah, but to be honest, Claire, though, that's going to be, and I know we're all very much, on the app.
Checking the wait
time. Even when we're in the UK, it's
on opening day, we should do a live stream of the app.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What, the Universal one or the Universal
Epic Universe and versus Disney?
Put the Disney one and watch how much, because I know this summer we were very much sort of guided by the fact that I wouldn't pay for Lightning Lane because I'm tight.
We did it twice. That was
I wouldn't pay for it. However, the wait times were very, very often overstated.
Yes.
Right? Because it's pushing you towards paying for it. Yeah. Next year, if that park is very quiet, the wait times they're either going to go, Space Mountain's going to be like a 5-hour wait, just so they prove that there's loads. Magic Kingdom's just as busy as it always has been.
We're all right. It's at capacity.
Yeah, or it's going to be 5 minutes. And you're going to be sat there and you're going to look at the app and you're going to compare that to some of the wait times within all the Universal parks. And you're going to go, okay, we're onto something.
I've got a 14-day UK ticket for Disney. I'll tell you what, we'll go there this evening instead.
Yeah.
Because look how quiet it is.
Yeah. It'd be fascinating to watch this pan out. And I really do feel that, we are in special times.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, because like I say, the opening of a brand new theme park is something else.
Much to compare to.
It's so exciting for us who are super geeky about things like that data. Like, I could just sit there and I'm thinking like that first week at Epic Universe. I'm going to be there looking at the wait time, so I almost making a mental spreadsheet of how it's affecting things.
What's busy? When's it busy?
What's popular? The three of you get it. I know that Robin and Simon get it. I know that our friends in the chat
Yeah.
get it. Anybody else in the world who is not on the same level as us is going, what?
What on earth are you guys all
Really?
about?
That's what you're thinking about?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's in my brain today.
Yeah.
That's on the tab that's at the front. And that, that for me is like going to be such an interesting time. I can't, I don't think any of us can predict exactly what's going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
My prediction is that it's going to be flooded. Epic Universe is going to be flooded with people. The resorts are going to be really busy, and the attractions are going to break. And that will have an impact.
Then everyone ends up at Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios.
Or instead, the social media coverage will be positive for a bit, and then it might. And that's not because I want it to be negative. I just think that the capacity that, and I think John Self mentioned earlier on in the chat that the Ministry of Magic attraction, which is the thing that everyone's like, blue powder, get into Ministry.
It
that's
was
so
the last
exciting.
thing they announced as well, and I wonder why.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. And they've got they've got 6 months to make it work, but that's not very long in terms of ride engineering.
It reminds me of Rise of the Resistance,
I kind of hope,
which keeps breaking and is always broken down.
I'd kind of hope that it works now.
Oh, I hope it's negative now. They've got time to fix it.
No, they don't need to fix it. They don't need to have the next 6 months to fix it because it already works.
But it doesn't, and
They
that's
just
should do.
Yeah, of course it should, but this is
so
how.
should the Yeti, but
right.
Well, that's been broken for decades.
And this, I think, as John said, that Disney are counting on there being a problem.
Yeah.
Because actually, new attractions can't.
part of me hopes there isn't, because I'd love to just see Disney respond in a way that we'd all want. But then also,
at the same time, everything has teething problems.
Yeah.
But even if only 1 or 2 rides at Epic Universe have teething problems, there's a whole other park to explore.
how does
The
the rest
rest
of the park?
can be explored while those 2 rides.
Yeah.
And attractions
I think
down.
as well, I'll add to
And
that,
it's not-
Becca, because actually, if you look at Hollywood Studios this summer, where Rock and Roller came back after a long refurb. Now, Rock and Roller's been there since what 1999, somewhere in the region of that, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work effectively.
It's every single day.
It's brand new, and like we're now sort of 25 years of it being there, and it doesn't work. And so
the sticking plasters.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Stop working at some point.
I've got my idea for Disney. If anyone from Disney is listening, get rid of Rock and Roller Coaster and replace it and put the Monsters Inc. coaster in there.
Oh no, you can't get rid of Rock and Roller. Oh, it's sacrilege.
Well, just fix it.
Yeah.
Or fix it.
Change it. Put Queen as the soundtrack.
There we go.
That's sufficient.
So good. Oh yeah, sold.
I think one of the shows we talked about doing previously is the songs that we would have had on Guardians of the Galaxy. Cosmic Rewind. I think we probably need to visit that and look at the other soundtrack. Did we do a show about soundtracks?
I think we did.
Do you know what? I think it's on the list somewhere.
I can't remember whether we did it or not, but right? Yeah. John's saying Rock and Roller breaks because it needs a full retracking and they can't do it. It costs too much money. Why would you do it? Let's just have it down for a couple of hours every day and suck it up and do a reset and hope it's okay. As long as it's
Control Alt Delete, turn it off, turn it back on, and
that's what it smacked of. That's what it smacked of in the summer.
Yeah.
It really did.
As long as it's not unsafe.
Which it won't be, because I think the refurb itself dealt with technology that was old, that were on the ride cars, and they've reintroduced different technology on the ride cars in respect of braking, etc. But the sensors on them are that sensitive in respect to the track that's where the issues lie, and it's hilarious to see it, but I think it's also hilarious that then, you look at Universal and
I look at Velocicoaster and go, that's how you do it. You did that thing at Rock and Roller Coaster, and you kind of like dusted down the tracks a little bit and put some new sensors on. Look at Velocicoaster. That's how you do a coaster.
It's incredible. I absolutely love it. I have to admit,
I've never done it, and I'm never going to do it.
It is my favourite ride in Orlando.
No.
It's my favourite ride in Orlando.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. I could ride it.
Mister, I'm not ever going to do an upside down coaster.
I know.
Years ago.
Yeah.
He did the Hulk as well this year.
Oh, the Hulk's amazing. I love the Hulk coaster. And this is the thing, Universal has something different. It is those big thrill rides. It is something that you can't get at Disney. And I think that that's always going to be the case. And so there is something for everyone. There's a different, if you want Dr. Seuss, you're only going to get that. Yeah. Or the Minions. Like the Minions attractions are amazing for families.
Yeah.
We've been watching, was it the Imagineering story last week?
Yes.
And on some of the, I remember, I know it's very random, but actually it goes back to when John was mentioned about a park opening. And it's like sinking concrete. Things that don't open on the day when the park opens. And it was like that happened in Tokyo as well as in Disneyland. Yeah. Well, there probably is going to be things that...
The paint was wet at Disneyland Paris. These things run to the wire. Yeah. And I think that, that's normal in terms of opening a new park. I think Universal will have the same issue.
Things are planned out, but then things happen. And
the Gantt chart does not determine how things happen. You might want it to look like that, but that's not what happens. And
so, they've got their Microsoft project open. It's going, we'll get it done by that date. And then it's like, that's been delayed. And it's like, okay, there's only a certain amount of time before issues can creep in. But
and I think that's all relative. I think it doesn't matter where in the world or whatever theme park you're always going to have that. It's how you deal with it. I actually, going back to what we said about resort wise, I think Universal are robust enough as a complete package to deal with it. Whereas I would have said, certainly when the Harry Potter world opened and it was very, very busy.
Yeah.
I think they're very reliant on a lot of accommodation from elsewhere and maybe a lot of accommodation for people from Disney, and they were taking them for maybe 2 or 3 days. Now, I don't feel that to be the case. And I think there's a lot more of a correction towards Universal being highly prepared with enough hotel beds for them to actually make this work, and for this to actually, even for them to make City Walk a complete nighttime experience as well. And you bring that into it, and you're suddenly thinking they've got the complete package. And that for me is quite an amazing thing, because they seemingly have done this very quietly and without the big fanfare and without the big sort of hoo-ha about we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. It's going to take us 7 years. Yeah. They've come out, we've done this, we've put the hotels in place. We know we're opening another couple of hotels next year. Yeah. And by the way, we've got a theme park that's coming up, and we're going to do that to a different degree.
And I think you're right, John. I think quietly under the radar, whilst they've had all these, the razzmatazz about Epic Universe, what they've done is invest in the infrastructure, which means that actually the whole Universal resort should work seamlessly. You can get from place to place. You can see, and if you're staying at Portofino Bay and you want to go to Epic Universe, that's okay. We'll get you there. So you don't need to worry about it. You're not going to have to get in your car and drive there, and whatever that looks like. And I think that they've done that very subtly, very under the radar. They haven't felt the need to tell people that that's what we're doing. We're building another car park, people. It's okay. And it's going to have special lights to tell you where there's gaps and not.
We're not going to announce that the trams are back.
Right. Yeah. Because they've had the cover of Epic Universe to hide all of that. So actually, as a guest, I go, but hang on a minute. Look at all this other stuff that makes a difference to me. And I know that we've done a previous show. I think it might even be one that Jason was on, when we talked about the things that make a difference when you're visiting a Disney park, and things like the trams, or could we just make sure that X, Y, and Z happens? Could you just be, could we just have some more turnstiles open at the beginning of the day? All those small things that as a guest make a massive difference. Universal are just quietly doing them, apart from first thing in the morning when you're queuing to get into the park. It's a bit of a mash, but that's the same. Not as bad as Disneyland Paris. Nothing's as bad as Disneyland.
The other tip that I can give is make sure you have your park tickets when you're queuing for your early entry, because some people apparently didn't have their tickets and they were at the front.
Yeah, no, that's not a good idea.
And so you've got people shouting behind, like, why are we going into the park?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that that's one of the benefits of Universal, are very different in the communication strategy. We've seen that in terms of, we're not going to announce things 7 years in advance. We're going to tell you 6 months in advance, and we're already nearly there.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell you about it. We know that something's been happening, but now we're going to tell you what we've done.
It's a bit like Velocicoaster. We're not building a coaster. We're not
building
a coaster.
that great big structure. What?
Yeah.
There's something there. You're going mad. Here's something we made earlier.
Very Blue Peter.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
And that there's a place for both. You know, some people like that anticipation, the slow build up, the frustration of why it's taking so long that Disney have. And then some, because actually they base that on the story. They talk about the necessity to build that story and anticipation. Whereas Universal, it's more about the ride experience possibly than the story. For me, I think that is the discrepancy between the two. Whether that will hold up in Epic in terms of Harry Potter, I think is the breakaway from that. The story element to it is equivalent, if not better, to some of the Disney areas. And so I'm hopeful that there'll be a somewhere in a happy medium between the two, which shows that actually you can have both.
I wonder as well, Claire. Sorry, you mentioned Harry Potter, but we're now in that generation where we've moved on from when Harry Potter Land first opened.
Who knew we'd get to that point?
But then there's the next generation who are finding the Harry Potter books, and this is where it kind of reinvents itself to people who, young people who are taking their families who have been big Harry Potter fans themselves, and suddenly they've got a young family, and it then becomes, it's not a case of wanting an epic universe. It's like, I want my children to go and experience the whole of this Harry Potter land, and that in some respects shows just how clever the design of that was, and the longevity of the thought of involving Harry Potter. And I really do feel that for me is quite a wonderful part of it.
It's fascinating though, because we're looking at a franchise where the lead characters are now well into their 30s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's watch Philosopher's Stone. Oh, Daniel Radcliffe's now what, 37 or something?
But there's going to be that new series that's going to be out on HBO in a few years' time.
Yeah.
So it's more interesting because the story will probably be the same as what you're going to get in that. So there's another excitement, another level of this story, and other people that are coming across Harry Potter for the first time.
Yeah. I'm excited,
interested,
apprehensive, but also intrigued as to what's going to happen. I'm glad I'm not going to be there the first weekend. And I'm just going to sit back with my popcorn and not,
see what
my neutral popcorn.
I'm hoping for Universal that it's a success, and if anything does go wrong, that they can get it solved promptly and in time for August.
But I think they will though. I know you're just speaking selfishly and things like that, but I actually feel that it will, and I think that for me is the real breath of fresh air that comes with all of this. I think there's a real positivity about it. There's a real sort of renewal of Universal as a company, and I actually, I really do feel more than anything else of everything that we've discussed tonight. I think Universal, what they've done, I'm going back to what we talked about with resorts. They've not really had to reinvent themselves because the resorts were good to begin with.
Yeah,
I think what's happened is the actual standard from the opposition has kind of dropped to the extent where Universal just kind of slightly up their game,
and they've pushed it open.
Yeah, they have. It's absolutely intriguing, and I'm sure probably give it another 5 or 10 years, somebody will be writing a book about it in respect of sort of corporate dealings with how the theme park world dealt with a pandemic and then moved on from there. It's just like, I'll make a note of that. I'll write that down.
I think that sounds like the sort of book that John Self should be writing.
Oh, wouldn't that? Yeah, John Self. There you go. Yeah, just mention us
in the forward.
Mention us in the preface. That'll be it. Yeah, but that would and that I think that's at the cusp of everything that we've talked about tonight. And we don't know the answers, and that's a bit that I think it doesn't matter how much we talk about it. There's no right or wrong, but ultimately, it is the paying customer and the person planning the next trip to Orlando that are the people that will benefit from this.
Yeah.
I think what I'd like to just mention is, John, if you were going next year, Epic Universe is open, which hotel are you staying at? Whether it's Disney or Universal, you get to choose one from each. So you're doing a split stay. You have to choose a Disney hotel and a Universal hotel.
Who's paying?
Oh,
Yeah.
You've won the lottery.
There you go.
Okay. I'll go Hard Rock every time, just because I'm a massive
You're
music
doing
fan.
Grand Floridian again as well.
Oh, obviously, yeah. But if I was gonna, I'd probably do the Beach Club, if I'm being honest. Yacht and Beach Club.
Yeah.
But I would have to go, and I would have to do it properly, and that for us, even this summer, going to Universal was not on the radar whatsoever. It wasn't even thought about. It wasn't even out there. I'd probably have to look back. It must be about 2017 was the last time we stayed at probably stayed at Hard Rock. We're going back in time because we'd done it, and we thought, well, okay, that's Universal. We've done that. We've seen it. It's really good. Really enjoy it. Love the Harry Potter stuff. But let's go back. Let's go do the Disney stuff. Universal have recreated and reinvented, and that is the bit that excites me now. Moving forward for next year, I think Universal have got a package, not just with choice of hotel in itself. I think is a really amazing thing. But I think as a theme park owner, they've thought a lot more about their long-term ability to cater for a wider audience, and that for me is a game changer. And I know we spoke about this in a few podcasts ago. I really do feel that Disney have actually been caught with I think a very British description. They've been caught with their pants down, and I think Universal are going to smack their backsides about it good time, and that will hurt, and it will hurt Disney. And again, at some point, maybe 2026, 2027, if it impacts Disney so badly, then we'll see free dining coming back. We'll see massive discounts, and again we'll win. It's a case of being patient, but letting the whole thing sort of pan itself out.
Like 5 years' time, Magical Express will return.
No.
I tell you what, Ben. At this point, I would never say never on anything that's gone away.
Time machine for that.
Claire, what are your 2 hotels?
It's really hard because I only stayed at Hard Rock Hotel. I'm really looking forward to staying at Royal Pacific. I think the theming and I know several people have stayed there. You guys obviously have, and then I've got some other friends who've stayed there. And I'm really looking forward to experiencing that theming. But proximity wise, Hard Rock is impossible to beat. So I would probably still, even though I find it a bit bland, I would.
You can get in like 3 minutes.
Right, and there's something.
Claire, don't take this the wrong way, right? Because I know height wise, there's the mirrors at Hard Rock, and they've got the height of all kinds of different people and things like that. So this
like Warwick Davies.
I know. No, I wasn't gonna be as low as that. But that's also one of the best things. You stand at the mirror and you compare. You compare yourself and say, I'm the same height as Bruce Springsteen.
If you're just looking at the hotel resort rather than the whole resort, I just find Hard Rock not to meet what I would want, which is like amazing restaurants and a great bar that you can sit in the evening and all of that stuff. Yeah. But proximity, location wise, is impossible to beat. I know John Self in the chat has mentioned Portofino Bay. I cannot deal with Portofino Bay, having been to Venice and Murano and Burano. I find it not to my taste. But in terms of Disney, I would go somewhere on Crescent Lake again. I would probably go Boardwalk Beach Club, Yacht Club. That would be my preference out of any of the Disney hotels. Although
I'm surprised you haven't said the tower at Grandestino.
I was just about to say, however, Grandestino Tower has my heart in terms of this place is just so glorious, and the hotel rooms are amazing. The atmosphere is amazing. It smells so good. I love the tower. And so it's a cheaper alternative. And actually, we were there last week, and it's just so perfectly positioned in terms of proximity to all the parks. It's 5 minutes on the bus to 3 of the parks and maybe 7 minutes to Magic Kingdom.
So quick.
It's central and it's just so well done. And you can't, I don't think Dan or Millie, because they haven't stayed there before, so I've obviously stayed there a few times, and when we got to the hotel room, they were both like, okay, now I get why you like staying there. And I was like, this is just like, the double sinks, the big shower, what you get for a moderate resort is ridiculous in comparison to some of the deluxe resorts. So,
but the funniest thing is, though, Claire, before the tower was built, nobody, and especially from the UK, nobody really would have touched Coronado Springs.
We stayed
as a resort.
I don't know whether so we looked at it for next summer, and I don't know whether I would stay in the rest of the resort. And we did discuss it many times as to would I stay at Casitas or Cabanas or whatever it is. We even went to the pool, right? Yeah. We even went to the pyramids and all of that, and it's a
dig
nice
site, isn't it?
dig site. That's the name of it. And Millie loved the slide. Would I stay at one of the other rooms? Probably not.
Yeah.
I would stick with the tower, and if the tower wasn't available, I'd go somewhere else. So
we stayed at Casitas twice.
It's weird, isn't it?
And I have to admit, the proximity we were to the bus stop, it was literally like out of the door, down the stairs, and like just short hop across the car park. Yeah. But I have to admit, it is another level. I would say the resort around with the other rooms is moderate. And I would class the tower as deluxe.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
And then you add in Dahlia, and
it's incredible. Yeah. I love that you can stay and save some money by staying at Casitas and Cabanas, and then decide to just use the amenities.
Go and hang out
there.
No, the rooms at the tower are incredible. So the shorter version of my answer
Gran Destino
is probably Gran Destino and Hard Rock.
What about yours, Becca?
Royal Pacific.
Okay.
We stayed there one night, and I'd like to have stayed there a couple more.
Yep.
And beach clubs are my number one that we haven't stayed at yet that I would like to stay at still. Yeah. So I'm going to go beach club.
See, there is part of me that wants to stay a longer time at Universal. But then part of me goes like, looking at budget, that's probably going to be endless summer because the cost. But actually, no, I like you. If this
won the lottery, remember?
Won the lottery, so okay, well, that's fine then. It's going to be Royal Pacific. I loved it there. We were there for one night.
I think that excites me that you really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that we really like it as well. And I had some people who stayed earlier this year who also loved it there.
I wish we could have stayed longer, but we did the one night. We checked in at 7:30 in the morning, and there was a room ready for us. They said. And it was literally, we were expecting to like just leave bags at Bell Services, go to the park, and then come back later in the day. But no, they said, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And what floor do you want to choose?" And it was like, as long as there's certain floors that have rooms available, and it was like perfect. It's like it will have that one, and it was lovely. It really was, nice and easy. And then it was a 5-minute walk to the park.
Well, I'll have something to compare to later next year and decide.
But going to Disney. Oh, it's difficult. There's no budget. I like Grand, but we did stay at Grand recently, and I wasn't as enamoured by it as I wanted to have been. I would have preferred to stay at the Polynesian.
Can we do a show about controversial Disney views or controversial Orlando views?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm writing it down as you speak.
Allegedly. Controversial views.
Yeah.
Because I have some views about the Grand Floridian.
Oh.
Stay tuned.
There we go.
I'm going to leave that there as a teaser. We'll
revisit it in 3 years' time.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, coming soon. Don't worry, we will not let Claire away with that. That will be it. Yeah. If we make sure we keep her in the country long enough, we'll actually we'll have a show on that one as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got to say that has been absolutely, I can't believe how quickly the time's actually flown there tonight. Can I just say a massive thank you, John Self in particular, because again, last week you were with us for the whole show and you've stuck with us again, and I appreciate that as well. Mr. Spam Guy, who's currently in the live chat, can go and do one, but
impressive spam.
It's quite good, that, isn't it? Yeah. I'll avoid swearing at them, because actually
They've gone.
When
They're banned.
when
They can't.
when you watch the show back, you won't have any clue because you don't have the live chat either. So that's even better.
What I do like is that they've given us a view.
Right.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Adds to the numbers.
There you go.
But I tell you what, guys, that has been fascinating. I don't think we've got a definitive answer. What I do think is that Universal have absolutely upped the game and they've really caught Disney napping. I think we'll stick with that one.
Would you have thought of this like 5 years since we've started doing the show that we'd have thought that actually Universal are going to be ahead of Disney at some point? Possibly.
I think
That's
you're absolutely
fighting talk.
It's really weird to think because going back, it was always the thing. Oh, we'll talk about Disney Universal at some point, and it's like this year because of Epic Universe. I'm really excited to see what that next 12 months brings.
Yeah, and I think as well. I think what we said it a few times during the show is the fact that this competition and the changes that do lie ahead, the only people that will actually this will only benefit us as guests. It doesn't matter if you're an American guest from the other side of the pond, if you come from the UK, we're the ones that will massively benefit from this competition. Right. And actually, that is something we should all embrace. If you've never been to Universal before, be prepared to actually add that into your trip. If you've never done Disney before and you're a big Universal aficionado, think about flipping it. Like Claire said,
year might be the time.
It might be nice. It might be nice and quiet in Magic Kingdom next year. But yeah, thanks, guys. It has been such an amazing chat. It really has. So a
nice to be
thank.
back.
Yeah, well, there you go. You see, we do this every Wednesday.
Sorry, Claire,
You've been busy sunning yourself.
I actually don't know. I don't know when.
You're not in single digits then.
No, not this.
Not this time. That's only Robin. It's like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't forget, we're here every week for more live Great British Mickey Waffle chat. Appreciate everyone who's been in the chat tonight as well, because actually, without us doing this, you guys actually are part of the show, and we really appreciate that. Go and check out our socials at GB Mickey Waffle. Please come and be part of our friendly Facebook community, the Wafflers Arms. I think Ben's going to put that photo in there, which shows you exactly what each of the Universal resorts offers, which, again, from a Disney-centered and Disney-loving community.
Why have we not got one of them for Disney? Is what
we're
was going through my head.
It's because there's nothing else to offer.
No. But we're actually pushing ourselves into that boat where we never thought we would ever go before. And I think that for me is exciting, and I think that for me is such a brilliant thing. Check us out, the Wafflers Arms on Facebook. You'll always get a warm welcome in there. Thank you for joining us. We always appreciate you being part of the show and sharing your week with us. And as always, we'll see you real soon.
See you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing